Hello and welcome to the Midweek Conversation of our First Baptist Sweetwater podcast. We strive to be the first responders of God's love. My name is Jerry Hendricks, and we're in Studio A. I'm here with T. Hamilton, my co-host, peer, friend, and whatever else we want to put into that category.
Fellow party planner.
Yes, speaking of parties, T, we're both wearing red today. Can you imagine why we're both wearing red?
Yes, I can.
Well, okay, I guess that question was for our audience. But this is preparation for our Sunday worship, which is going to be Pentecost Sunday, where we've asked our folks to wear red, and that has nothing to do with school colors.
Nope.
Sorry to disappoint.
Nope.
But it has to do with the season that we're in, and Sunday's Pentecost.
Yeah, and you know how they always have, there's this new tradition of, it's my birthday week.
No, I didn't know that.
People do that all the time. They're like, it's my birthday week, so I can do this. I never get that, but they give a birthday weeks.
Sure.
So this is part of our birthday week.
Cupcakes.
Yes.
Which we have long, or you have long lobbied that cupcakes becomes a regular part of our episodes.
Everything. Like daily life, regular part of my daily life.
Daily food requirements.
Yes.
Yes. Well, good. And they're beautiful.
Yes. Ambrosia did them. She did them fresh.
Shout out to Ambrosia. Thank you. And I did comment as we came in. I asked Teak how many stores he had to go to get find red ones. And he said he called Ambrosia, and she took care of it.
It was so funny. She goes, so chocolate with whipped icing.
Yeah, right.
I've been there enough that she knows what I want.
That's right. So we're excited about this Sunday. It's 50 days from the resurrection.
Right.
And I finally got that down. Hence the word
Penta,
which is 50.
50, yep.
Right. There's so many 40-day references in the Bible.
Right.
I automatically just go to that. And fortunately, I don't think, well, maybe one podcast episode I did mislead.
I don't remember that. But I think last Sunday was Ascension Sunday.
Yes, it was.
It was?
Right.
Okay, so big Sundays in a row.
Yeah. Well, and I thought that it might be appropriate to rewind a bit and talk about why we celebrate these special occasions.
Okay.
And we regularly make our folks aware that we do follow loosely the lectionary, or basically the Christian calendar, which for anyone who is a follower of Jesus, it's easy to understand Christmas and Easter.
Right.
The seasons that surround those two holidays or events are Advent for Christmas and then Lent for Easter.
Right.
Along with that, there are a few other Sundays that play a role in that. In fact, we didn't talk much about it this year. I think maybe the first 2 weeks after Easter we did. But all of the Sundays following Easter up until Ascension Sunday, I believe it is, it's referred to as the second Sunday of Easter, the third Sunday of Easter, and so forth, until you get to Pentecost, and then everything on the calendar begins to, it just simply becomes the season after Pentecost. Right. It goes all the way into November. But so the reason we emphasize it, the reason we feel like it's important, is that for a person who is interested in really becoming a disciple of Jesus, it's easier for them to capture something that's on a calendar because our life is on a calendar.
Right.
And it's not dependent upon a study guide or a class or a small group that somebody's going to offer, but it's something that stays with you once you understand these days and this certain rhythm. It stays with you as long as there is a calendar.
Right. Because one of the disappointing things for I guess for me, maybe not for everybody else, is that in our denomination and the writing of curriculum and things like that, they don't hinge on the Christian calendar except for Christmas and Easter. Those are the big ones. And so I think we miss a lot, because I guarantee you there's a lot of curriculum that we probably use that isn't talking anything about Pentecost Sunday this Sunday.
Right.
And so that's something we've lost, whereas our friend Jared Howes, or Father Howes, he would love to talk about this kind of stuff.
Right. Well, and it's, I think, as probably you and I have talked about this, that it's something that we continue to learn as we work through it ourselves, because it's not something that definitely learned in seminary. In your seminary training, y'all did make it a matter of study to a degree.
There was a little bit. That was mainly Dr. Lyle and Dr. Ellis's influence, I think,
Okay.
that they really helped us bring that up.
Well, and so for the church's information, I suppose, it helps to understand that for those of us who are planning that content week in, week out, for one, it gives us a broader scope
Right.
of a season, of what that needs to look like, and the messaging that goes into that season. And so one of the things that I'm learning is that there's really, I think, well, let me back up. I think that because I'm relatively new to this, that my scope for it has been pretty narrow, where I choose basically the gospel passages for those seasons. But I know 2 years ago for Advent you used the Old Testament passages in Isaiah,
Isaiah passages, yeah.
and then in Lent this year with the students you used
It was
Old Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Old Testament was Sunday morning and New Testament was Wednesday night.
right. So it creates a balance. So throughout the year, as these readings progress, and if you follow it, you can just Google lectionary, and the Revised Common Lectionary will come up in that search. Then you could click on that, and it will have the dates on there for that by season.
Right.
And it's a 3-year rotation. And so some of those texts are going to be the same, but some of them vary. But the main thing is that the theme remains the same.
Right.
And so that's where it really helps us in our planning and in the way that we teach and help people to grow their faith. So for this Sunday, having learned that from the last 2 seasons, I suppose, the text I will use Sunday is not a text that I've preached here before, but it's in the Gospel of John, I think, where Jesus starts to prepare his disciples. In other words, he starts talking about the events of Pentecost long before that event ever happens, as a way of preparing his disciples.
Did you use the Vanderbilt version of
Yeah.
lectionary? That site is great. It has prayers in there. It has artwork that works, and so we're using some of that Sunday morning also.
Well, in fact, I wrote the prayer guide for the Lenten season, and 2 of the sections that were in that prayer guide came from the lectionary, and it is much improved over the years.
Yes.
I kept adding to that,
Good too.
and so it's a really good instrument. And if you use that, and you can, if you're particularly on a laptop, I suppose you could use it on your phone as well, but you scroll over what the text reference is, and it actually, the text pops up, so that could be your reading. What we do in the daily readings that we post on our social media, and from week to week, 4 of those 7 texts are going to be related specifically to the lectionary theme.
Right.
And regardless of where we are, and I tell people when they ask me that if they're familiar with lectionary and they ask me about it, I say we use a hybrid approach.
Right.
So like right now, I'm trying to plan the summer messages, and so I'm trying to consolidate some of those messages, because I've noticed that some of those texts and so forth go on even into the fall, where we can just kind of rearrange them and give it a little bit more cohesion for our thinking, and so that's why in the summertime we've gone through a portion of a book,
Mark,
or
Romans.
sometimes the entire book through the summer. So, but I don't know if I said this already, but it's the lectionary is on a 3-year cycle.
Right. That way you can go through the whole thing.
Right, and I did notice just this week looking through there that the year you use the Isaiah passages, that's really the only year that they have those lengthy passages from Isaiah.
Right. Yeah. The rest of the time there's a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, there's another one that has some text to Isaiah, and then mixed with others, and then the 3rd year there's no text, I think, from Isaiah. But anyways, it's a very interesting process, and we believe that it's something that helps us to stay on track as a church, and obviously our people as well.
Right. And we just spent time this morning in the worship center setting up for it.
We did, and it was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so.
And it wasn't hot because, yet again, we had a cold night last night. So we aren't in long sleeves this week.
Well, I had long sleeves on to start the morning, and then I made a wardrobe shift.
Yeah, because
And
it's getting
so,
warm outside.
Yeah, it is. But so the way that you view this and the way that you've helped me and our student ministry is you view this Pentecost Sunday in terms of a party. Explain.
Yeah, traditionally it's known as the birth of the church. I did read in one of the commentaries that they tried to get all technical and say, well, no, it's not, as long as Jesus has been around, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, I'm okay with it being Holy Spirit arrives and sends the disciples, that becomes that first time that there's massive amounts that are saved and things like that. And so that's the formation, the early stages of the church. So we talk about that being the birthday of the church. And so we're having a birthday party. There's a lot of conversation about how old the church would be. It depends on when you date the birth of Jesus, right, which could be anywhere from 4 BC to, I guess, 0. So I called 2 friends and said, how old's the church? And they both gave me a range. I was like, no, it's a birthday cake. I need a number. So we settled on 1991. The church is 1,991 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that's what we did.
Okay, cool. And so Sunday in the youth ministry area, you'll be having a birthday party.
Yes, we have the cake ordered. The candles are 1991, so we can light that, sing happy birthday. I don't think I'm going to let anybody blow out the candles, except for maybe me. But yeah, we're going to have that. We're going to have bubbles. It's going to be good. Party hats.
That's fun. Well, it's going to be fun for us on Sunday as we've, last year we were I think what we were saying is that Pentecost last year fell later after we had started regathering, but it was still real early, and we may have only had 25 folks here,
right,
at that time. But it'll definitely be a fun day. There's several other things that are going on, as well as the decorations in the church, and the decorations are intended to be symbols that kind of draw our attention to the meaning of Pentecost, and they are not. It helps focus us, not distract us.
Right.
And so you'll see some subtleties in there that'll help us to do that. But then also we're going to have baptism Sunday, and that's an exciting part of the meaning of the church. You'll see that as we've been studying through Acts since Easter Sunday. A number of times people are being baptized, and so that'll be a neat start for us. And then one special thing that we've added to our worship service in our planning this morning that we'll just, if you've listened this far and you have children in your home, just have them to be here and be prepared. We have a special moment in our worship service just for them, and we think it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be, yeah.
Well, Teague, it's always fun planning these special days in our worship with you. This is kind of what we've been doing for a long time prior to my coming here, and it's always fun seeing what the outcome would be.
Right.
And,
these are those days that feel like planning a camp day.
Yeah.
Because you're really centered on a theme and you're focused, and everywhere you look it's supposed to point to that. And there's a lot of people who get more out of a message because of that type of thing.
Right.
Because it clicks for them of why there's flames and stuff like that in the picture, and the why we wear red and things like that. And I'm glad you clarified that it's not because we're in Sweetwater and Sweetwater's color is red. It has to do with the actual day of Pentecost. Pentecost claimed it before Sweetwater did.
Right. And there you have it.
Yep.
So, anyways, we look forward to being a part of your worship this Sunday, whether you're watching online or joining us in person. We're looking forward to this Sunday and the summer that's ahead of us. It's going to be good times around here.
See you then.